so I'm like sitting there in the bed. The footsteps go from the door past the end of the bed to the window. I hear something tap the glass. And I'm like, that's not a cat. Cat's not wearing boots, you know? Like, I'm like, what is happening? I would say my most memorable experiences was down the road at my grandmother's house. Like,
Farm.
I mean,
Yeah.
they used to live here too, and I lived here back in the day, and now I'm back, but the farm down the road, and that's like my most memorable. But here, even there's been stuff that's happened, and
Wow.
but it's been like I can't remember anything before Nana died. Because like I lived here as
Yeah.
a kid, like before the house was remodeled and I moved back in it. I don't remember anything growing up, anything weird. But
Wow.
afterwards, after Nana died and like we moved back in here, there was like weird stuff. I mean, I was talking to my sister about this last night. And I was like, do you remember like after her, after she died, this weird thing that happened? And she's like, no, I don't remember that. And I'm like, how do you not remember that? Like we were sitting in the dining room and we were going
Yeah.
through like stacks and stacks of like photos, trying to find like photos for like the memorial at her funeral service, where they do the thing
Yeah.
where they play the video of the
Right.
photos, and the
Right. 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 Right.
so we're like sitting there and then also had like a pile of like insurance paperwork that I had to deal with, and for some reason,
Logistical stuff.
yeah, so for some reason I had to find her license because Nana had two birthdays, which is weird, but like she had two birthdays. Well, because growing up she was told her birthday was one day, and then when she actually got her birth certificate when she was maybe like 20 something, it said the day before or the day after.
Oh,
And
weird.
so we always joke that she has two birthdays. So some days, like some sources, her birthday is registered as this, and other sources is registered as this.
Was she like born in a house or something?
No, it was just that like back in the day, like you didn't
Like
like get a
paperwork was
birth
just weird.
certificate. You didn't get sent home with a birth certificate,
Right.
like,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so
You have
like
to
her
like register
parents,
for one.
told her that this was her birthday, and like that was her birthday. But then she gets her birth certificate for something else. Maybe it was like when my grandfather was in the military, they had to have it to like travel or something, and
I
and
see.
she got it, and it was like the 20th instead of the 19th, and she's like, well, that's not right. so so we're sitting there at this table, and like I had to find her license for something, dealing with all that, and could not find it. Didn't know where it was. She at that point she hadn't. Well, I mean, at that point she was dead, but like right before that, she she had
Right.
right, but like she
Solid.
hadn't been subtle. Yeah, she hadn't been like driving for a while, right? So
Oh,
because
okay. So
she
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 really
had
didn't like have
cancer,
it
and
on her.
yeah, so she
No
didn't
one's
have it
IDing
like it,
her. Yeah.
like it. We went through several purses trying to find it because I
Mhm.
mean she had stopped driving. I was like going and getting her groceries for her and like paying her bills and all that, and so I mean she didn't need it. And so
Mhm.
we're like trying to find it. Me and my sister sitting there trying to find it. We looked through, I don't know how many purses, like why she has so many purses. I mean, I can't say anything. I got like a million. But like we looked through so many purses, so many wallets, found like
Mhm.
old like cards from like my grandfather's time in the military, but didn't find her current
Mhm.
license. And it's like we couldn't find it anywhere. And finally, when we give up, we're like, we'll just find it later. We go back to the dining room, and I sit down in my chair, and her license is sitting on top of a stack of photos that I had just been going through before we started looking for it. And I'm like, I just gave myself cold chills. Like it was like sitting there.
That's
I'm like,
crazy.
I know this was not
Because
here.
do you know how much energy a ghost would have to spend to move something to
It
that
was like, I
degree?
swear I'm not making it up. Like it was like it happened.
Like that's so because that's like because what it is that like it's energy transference, right? So like a ghost from like the spirit like realm or from like their part of existence, they can move things in our realm, but it takes a lot of energy, like a lot of energy.
Where was
Like
it?
where was it?
Where was
Where
it?
was it and how did it get moved to where you would see it?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it was like sitting on top of the stack. Like,
It's crazy.
where was
That's
it?
crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And
That's
then
insane.
like,
Yeah.
um, not Probably like not too long after the funeral. I was in here, like this is my office. This was her office when she lived here because she sold her farm and moved back here when the house came up for sale. And so this was her office, right? On that wall in front of me now, there was like this china cabinet thing that
Yeah.
I still hadn't moved because it was like ancient and
It
it
was
had
probably really
like
heavy.
knick-knack things in it, you know.
Yeah.
And for some
Grandma
reason,
stuff.
like one of the doors just kept opening. And I'm like, why? Like we had been living here for a while and I'm like, it's never happened. Like, why is it, because
Right.
you think
All of a
maybe
sudden.
like the latch is like defective. And it's like, I've seen this cabinet for years down there at that house and like never once saw the door open. Why is the door opening now? And so it happened a few times. And I eventually was like, okay, I'm gonna look in the cabinet. And like I found some really cool things. And I don't know if that's where I found my grandfather's pocket watch
Oh.
or what, but like, I remember finding some memorable things in there that I hadn't seen since I was a kid, but it was like I wasn't really sure what I was supposed to be finding. So, but it was just like the weirdest thing. Like, why is this door opening? Like, there's three doors on this cabinet. Like, why is this one door in the middle just like popping open? It's like every time I came in the room, it would like pop open. I'm like, why? It was weird.
And it was like times like that. It's not like it was
Yeah, it
already
was
open. It
like,
was like
or like
it would
I'd
be
pass by
physically
the
open.
door and I would hear click and I look over and like the door's open because it was like one of those that like had like the little decorative tassel little hardware handle, but it was
Yeah.
like a magnetic
Yeah. You had to like
latch.
twist it just right. It had like a little
Like
keyhole.
it's like, so I thought maybe it was like the magnetic part was like messing up and that's why it was like
Yeah.
popping open. But like,
Right.
no, like once I looked in it that one time, it never opened again. Never opened again. So I don't know what I was supposed to find, but I guess I found it.
Maybe. Maybe.
Weird.
See that to me, like those types of hauntings don't seem like
Yeah, those are fine.
negative.
Yeah, those are fine. I'm okay with those. Now, if you're
I'm like,
into,
okay, thank you. Like
thank you for the pocket watch. Like, I'm okay. But like, if you're into like, it's probably completely lame, but someone told me about this ghost hunting app that you can put on your
yeah,
phone. And like, I've
yeah.
seen a few different ones. And so like he tried this one and like didn't see anything. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to do it. I couldn't tell you what the app is. It's probably in my Google Play Store history, I'm sure.
Right.
But
Right.
so I was like, okay, I'm going to try it. And then I
Mhm.
was like, I don't really want to try it because I live here. So what if
Right. Yeah, but
it
like you could
sees
sometimes
something?
help.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to avoid the office first off because that's where I spend my most time. So
Uh-huh.
I started by the kitchen door and I'm like, you scan the app and it's like, like the ghost hunter shows, like everything's like night vision, like the green look.
Right.
And so it's supposed to like, it's got like this bullseye looking thing that like supposed to like capture stuff, whatever. So
Mhm.
you're supposed to like scan it around, and if it sees something, it'll show up, like it'll alert you and like do like a
Yeah.
capture, like a
Well, yeah, because so with the facial recognition app on the phones now, they can detect, like you've never seen the ones where it's like a Snapchat filter and it's like of your face, and then all of a sudden there's a face that pops up here,
yeah.
like it's detecting a face right here
Uh-huh.
while you're taking the photo. It's
Yeah.
because it's detecting that there's a face there.
Yeah.
Or like the Teslas who that say that I've seen people who drive through cemeteries with Teslas and
Uh,
they get notifications of people on the side of their cars
no,
and there's no
come
one there.
on.
Hmm.
No, that would freak
Yeah,
me
because
out.
the sensor is getting triggered, but there's nothing there.
Well, I
And it doesn't
decided
happen
I'm
anywhere else.
gonna,
It's not like
I'm
a
like, I decided I was gonna like try it out. It's probably like a load of bullshit, but I'm gonna do it. And I feel like I was scared the whole time I'm like walking around the house, like, do I want to look?
right,
Do I not want to look?
right. Am I
And
looking? Am I not
so
looking?
I like scanned the kitchen and like nothing there, scan the
Yeah.
dining room, nothing there, scan the foyer, the family room,
Hmm.
nothing there, purposely avoiding the office door. What was that? What was that? Are you doing this on purpose? I like look away and I see something go across your screen. Like, what is happening? Like, this is quit.
It's probably just a bug or something, or like
It's,
some dust or
oh my
something, but that
gosh.
was insane.
That was weird. Okay, so scanned all these rooms, right? And then,
Right. But so does it like just capture a picture?
well, no, it's like it only captures something if it detects something. So if it like
Oh, okay.
detects something, then it's like it snaps, it does like a loud blaring alarm, like notice
Oh
this
God.
thing. And it
Oh,
was
okay.
it's scary. And then it like captures it. So it's like a photo, like whatever it
Oh, okay.
detects. So I'm like looking around, scan the bathroom. This was before I was like seeing things in the bathroom. And scan that
Right.
bedroom, like nothing. And I'm like, I don't really want to do our bedroom because I don't want to know if there's something there. And I was like, okay, I have to do the office.
You're like the definition of ignorance is bliss, I feel
I
like.
know, yeah. So I finally decide, okay, I'm gonna scan the office.
Oh no.
And the alarm goes off in the office
Mm-hmm.
and it like
Yeah.
snaps a photo like of a figure standing in front of this window. And I'm like looking at it and I'm like, is it just me or does that look like Nana? Like it
You're
looked like a person with
joking.
like short hair because she like cut her hair really short and like wearing like a collared button-up shirt, but it was like half visible, half not. And I'm like, it looked like one of Nana's like little button-up shirts that she used to wear to do like yard work. Like, I don't know who wears a collared button-up shirt to do yard work, but she did. It was adorable. But I'm like,
Wow.
that it just freaked me
What?
out. Yeah, and
So
then
she just like so she know she can roam the house freely
maybe,
then
I
and
don't
then.
know. Like, I don't like to think that it would be her because it's like, I'd like to think that she moved on, you know?
Right.
But it's like,
Right.
but is it like you moved on, but yet you can still come visit? I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, I
Am I
mean,
just
maybe. I
seeing what
mean,
I
we
want
really
to
don't
see in this
know.
image?
Yeah,
I
we
don't
don't
know.
really know. I think
And
based off what most people have encountered is that like you can banish a spirit, but I don't know. Maybe there is like a way of like getting visitation rights or some shit. I don't know.
well, the only other time it went off in the house is because I finally did do the bedroom. I just had to, just felt like I had to know. The only other time it went off was in the bedroom when I pointed it at an antique mirror and there was like a
Mirrors
woman
are
in like
portals.
a white thing. And like, I don't know why that mirror is still sitting in the bedroom. It's like, it's still there. Like, I just left it and it's there. It's like,
Tori,
it's like one of
mirrors
those,
are portals.
I know, but it's like one
And
of
the woman
those
in white.
that I don't even want it. It's like why I should just get rid of it. But like, there's so much antique furniture in this house that anything could be attached to anything. I swear.
Yeah,
Like,
at this point,
but it's
yeah.
like one of those things where it's like a little jewelry box with like the mirror that like angles that sits on top of it, and it's like ancient. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how old. It probably belonged to my
It's
great
probably
grandmother.
beautiful.
But
Yeah.
it's like that's the only time it flashed is whenever I went past that, and like it was like a person in like white, like a woman in white. I don't know. That's freaked me out.
Well, first of all, portals, mirrors are portals,
I know. I just
100%.
watched an episode of Supernatural the other day
Yep.
because, like, I decided for some reason let's
They're
do a marathon of
portals.
Supernatural again. Start from the beginning, and then it was like it was the Bloody Mary episode, and I was like, yep, yep, yep.
And that's why
Okay,
that
so
that
I'm
Jesus, that's
I'm trying to keep an
crazy.
eye on our time. I'm trying to be good about our
Okay.
time.
Okay. Okay.
So since we're being good about our time, I will tell my final story, and any other stories we'll just save for a later date because I do have some more.
Okay. Okay.
Like the
Okay.
time my mom was shot in her dream, and it was the same time. Well, I think my sister told me, like, we figured this out last night, that my mom was on a mission trip with my dad and like the church and like everything. And while they were on this mission trip, she had this dream. We didn't piece this together until last night, but she had this dream where she was shot in her dream and like woke up like screaming, like she thought it really
Right.
like happened, like
Right.
it felt, and we
Real.
just realized last night that during that time when they were on that trip is the same time when I had my weird experience at Nana's house down the road. And it's like, it's just weird timing or it's connected. I don't know.
It's weird. That could be just coincidence, but dreams are totally different. We could do a whole nother episode
Yeah.
about dreams because do you lucid dream or do you have night terrors or anything like that?
I mean, I've never had night terrors, but I mean, I
Okay.
have some pretty intense dreams, like very vivid dreams, weird dreams sometimes, and other times more
Yeah.
like realistic.
So
Like it's not so
there's a lot of
realistic when a
theories.
kangaroo jumps through your window and turns into a cat. But you know, like that's
Right.
kind of
But then
dreams
there's
too.
also ones that are like real.
Oh
Like
yeah.
they feel like you're just like living your life, but
Oh yeah.
different.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that, well, there's a lot of theories. And then one of the major theories is that like there are multiple universes and realities, and
What happened?
living in another version of yourself. Does
Oh
that make
wait,
sense?
we just froze. You froze.
Oh my God, that was so crazy. It literally,
I
I literally thought you were about to like cry. I literally
was
thought
like,
you were about to, you were like, you looked at me like, and I
it's
was
like
like,
you just like froze,
but then
and then I'm like, what happened?
so yeah, it's a theory that like you're living that other version of yourself's reality,
It's weird.
or it's memories from a past life.
Well, I've
Yeah.
had some crazy
Especially,
lives then. I've had some crazy lives. Okay, so final story. Final
okay,
story of our episode.
yeah.
Okay, so I was at the old family property, like the other old family property down the road, Nana's big farm, right? My parents were on this trip. It was just me and my sister. We were young. I can't remember how old we were. I mean, young enough to where like
Like
I
14,
I don't know. I mean, like I had recently
12.
got my ears pierced for the first time, and I had a portable CD player with the headphones, like that kind
Oh,
of
if it was like
time.
10, 11,
I
maybe.
mean, I don't know. It was that time zone.
Been like the
Um,
90s, no? Would have been like 95, maybe?
no, look, and she was born in 91. And so she was
Oh.
old enough that like that they would have
She could like
left
walk and
her.
talk and you could
Yeah,
you
like
yeah,
she
it wasn't
was
like
old enough that they felt like traveling to South Dakota for a mission trip.
okay,
So like,
okay,
like
damn. Okay. So maybe early
so
like late 90s, early
yeah.
2000s.
So like went to bed and like it was at Nana's house and we usually like all just kind of like me and my sister and Nana just like camped out in like the den and like made
Mhm.
pallets or made like a fort or something like that and just like hung out in there.
Cute.
But like I
Yeah.
decided that time, I think it was I had a fight with Nana earlier that evening. Like we had argued about something. I don't remember what it was now, but like I decided I was going to sleep in the bedroom, which was my dad's bedroom when he was a teenager. And I like it was my bedroom then. And so I was going to sleep there. So I'm like sitting in bed and the door is cracked just enough to where it's like this, like just enough to where I
Yeah,
don't
like
like
that.
sleeping with the
Like
yeah, like that.
like that.
Yeah, like just barely like you can't really see through, but maybe just like.
Mhm.
And so I'm like sitting in bed and I've got my book and I've got my little CD player and I've got like my headphones on and I had like some stuffed animal that was like sitting beside me. I'm like propped up in bed. I'm like reading. My sister's already gone to sleep. Nana's already gone to sleep. I'm like in my zone. And then I just get this really intense cold chill. And I'm
Mhm.
like cold chill. And I look up, mind you, everybody's asleep, right? I look up and the door is open like this far. And I can see like a light through there, but it didn't look like a light that like matched any lighting that was going on in the other room, like a lamp. Like it was just like there was like this light.
Right.
And then I thought, well, a cat opened the door. That's what I'm thinking. A cat opened the door.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
then, but then I hear footsteps, heavy footsteps walk from the door past the end of my bed. Like hear them, okay? Walk past the end of the bed down like the way the room was, it was like, you had this main part with, like the bed and the dresser and everything. And then sort of like a little hallway that like had a window at the end and like closet on either side. So I'm like sitting there in the bed. The footsteps go from the door past the end of the bed to the window. I hear something tap the glass. And I'm like, that's not a cat. Cat's not wearing boots, you know? Like, I'm like, what is happening? Then
What?
the footsteps come back and stop at the end of the bed. Like I'm sitting on one side of it. It's a queen size bed. Okay. Just put a picture in there.
Little, you're little. It's like
And
a
I'm
huge bed.
like
Yeah.
sitting on one side of the bed. the footsteps stop at the foot of the bed in the opposite corner. And I'm like, and then they come up the side of the bed. And then there's a spot on the bed that depresses, like someone sits down. You know what I'm talking about? Like the rest of the bed is like fully made. Like it's literally
Right, you're
like,
just sitting in it.
and
Yeah.
I'm just in it. Like it's not like I've been laying around. It's all rumpled and like, no, it's like hospital corners on that side of the bed. Right.
Right, right.
So it like depresses, like someone is sitting there. And I'm just like looking at it. Like, I don't know why I was not freaking out. I'm just like looking at it.
Mhm.
And then the depression like grows as if someone has laid down in the bed. And this little stuffed animal I had sitting beside me falls over to that side of the bed. And I'm still like,
Could it have just been your grandpa? Was your grandpa dead at that point?
I don't know. I thought it was the next morning. Yeah, he was dead at that point. So like I thought it was him because like, but I mean, it's freaky, right? You know, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
so I've still got my headphones on and I got my book out and I'm just like, or maybe my headphones are like down here, you know, and it's like,
You take them off.
and
Yeah.
I took them off, you know, because I heard the footsteps, right? Because I mean, that's weird. Like, what? What is this? And then, so I just like close my eyes and I'm like, go away, go away, go away. And I'm just like, please leave me alone. And then I like get this really intense cold chill again. And I look over and the bed is like back up to normal. The little stuffed animal's still laying over, you know, but like the bed is back up to normal. And I look at the door and it's open wider now and there's no light coming from anywhere.
Wow.
And I'm like,
Wow.
that is like the
So
most
sometimes
intense
if
thing.
it's so if it was like your grandfather, he could have just been like, so some ghosts get stuck doing the same thing, like they're alive. So they don't even really know. So he's just like walking in, looking at the closet, looking at the you know,
Well, see,
then going to
here's the
lay
thing.
down. Like that's
That
like
that window right there is where he would always go and stand to look at the apple trees that were in that part of the yard and like watch
yeah,
the deer eat the apples. Like that was he used to
yeah,
go there. And so I was convinced that
yeah.
it like at the time I was completely convinced that that was my grandfather and that was his way of saying, "Hey, you don't need to fight with your grandmother. Like y'all
Hmm.
need to just
Yeah.
chill and make up." So the next morning I woke up and I came out and she's like fixing
You
breakfast and I like
slept. You
hugged her and I'm like,
slept.
I love you. I'm so sorry I argued with you. I love you. And it's like, and I don't think I ever told her about that. I don't think I ever told her about that.
What?
Yeah.
I cannot believe you slept that night.
I can't either. Like how? Like
You were just like, fine.
I
It's
was just
well,
like,
it's because it
fine.
probably didn't feel evil. It like
Yeah, it
didn't feel
didn't feel
scary.
like I mean, it was pretty scary, but it wasn't like I feared for my
Right.
life something's gonna eat my soul out. You know, it wasn't
Right,
like
right,
that
right,
type
right.
of feeling,
That would have
but
definitely had a different vibe.
it was weird. It was
That is crazy.
intense.
That is
Yeah.
so crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, I've had like, I mean, it wasn't like anything touched me or anything like that, but I have had like other people like tell me their stories where something has like
Mhm.
grabbed them. Like I went like years later, I went on a mission trip with them to North Dakota, no, South Dakota. And it was to a reservation up there. That's where we were going. We had like there was a church we were working with up there that that dad had friends up there and we were told like, hey, you know, this is, I mean, this is, it's an Indian reservation. There's like Native American, however, you know, whatever's appropriate to say. But like, you know, there are spirits here, you know, I mean, there are like, we know that, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and like we were told that like there was this guy in the community, like if we saw him to like go the other way because they were convinced he was possessed. And, you know, like we were told all these things and like we were there. I said this, that was going to be my last story. Clearly it's not. And clearly we're not caring about time. So like I was aiming for a 30-minute episode. We're at 45. Like, and that we talked before we set the timer. So, but, so one night we were in there and like, it's creepy enough, but while we were there on this trip, we were sleeping in the basement of the church. Like, because there was nowhere else for us to like
Yep.
go.
No, I
And
just feel
so
like
like
if you're just setting yourself up, you know?
I know, like, so I was in this room, like me and a friend of mine, we were in like one of the classrooms that they had cleared out. Like they had cleared out all the classrooms down there for us to like sleep in while we were there. And we had been up late talking with a friend of ours who was on the trip with us. And he went back to his room next door, at lights out. And so we're sitting there and she wakes me up in the middle of the night, like in full freak out mode. And she's like, sounds absolutely terrified and is like yelling for me to like go get him because she's like so freaked out. And like I go and get him, of course, and come back. And she's like huddled up in the corner, like clutching her arm, and was like saying that like something was like grabbing her arm and wouldn't let go. And like she's like crying. I don't think I had ever seen this girl cry. And I'm like, that freaked me out, like that
Yeah.
freaked me out. But like I remember as a kid going to like my dad's work friend's house one night. We were like, I don't know why they're so memorable. Just because I guess one, because they had like a giant iguana, like that makes you memorable. And two,
Memorable, yeah.
the wife kind of like had like this boho, like witchy type of vibe that, that she
Yeah.
just looked kind of
Yeah.
like, that look, with the black flowy
Right.
skirt and like the
Right.
jewelry and,
Right.
she was cool. Right. So we're there
So
one
cool.
night. So cool. So we're there one night and she's like telling us about a time when she was held down in her bed by something. And I'm like listening with rapt attention, of course. And she like woke her husband up in the middle of the night screaming and like crying and like cannot move. He can't move her. She can't move. And like she's just stiff as a board, like screaming and like saying that something is holding her down, and sends him in the other
Right.
room to go get like this old family Bible. And
Right.
when he comes back, I can't remember if like he read something from the Bible or just him bringing it back in the room was enough to like release her. But like the next morning, she had fingerprint bruises on her thighs and her arms. Like that
Nope.
shit is scary.
Yeah, that's what like that's when like things like that happen. And it's just like when people don't believe that spirits are real, I just don't get it. Like I just don't get how can you explain that?
Mm,
There's no coincidence on that. There's no crookedy house with that. There's
yeah.
no I mean, even night terrors, like they do paralyze you pretty hardcore, but someone else can move you when you're in
I
a,
mean, I
in that
have had
state.
a dream before where I was like being like strangled and woke up and like couldn't move, couldn't breathe for like so long. And then when I could, it was just like, you know, I don't know what that was, but
That's very night terror-y.
yeah,
Um,
it was
when
unpleasant.
you wake up from something doing that to you for sure.
Yeah.
Because that's explained by science where like your brain isn't fully like your brain is waking up,
Mm-hmm.
but your body's not.
But your body's not. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's why it feels like you can't move. But like, there's a difference between like you feeling like I'm paralyzed and I can't move any of my body parts, and
Just
then
something
someone
that's
else being like,
holding.
why can't I pick you up?
Yeah. Yeah. Like that's
And that's
crazy.
also so much power. Like that
Yeah.
is so much power to that would could have been multiple spirits. That could have
Yeah.
been two demons keeping her trapped, you know?
Yeah. Oh gosh. I think, okay,
Hmm.
so the only other thing on my list right now that I can
Okay.
think of, I mean, we're all in at this point, right? Is
Yeah.
okay, so I had a friend from college and her house was right next to a cemetery. It was like cemeteries here,
Yes.
there's like the road around the cemetery and then like this
Yeah.
road and that's where her house was, right? So we were there, I used to go over there some, and like she would tell me how they would have all these weird things, and like they were told that if there was a possibility that those houses over there were built on like burial ground at one point. And
Yep.
the weird things that happened in her house mostly happened in the basement, in the burial grounds, right?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
she would tell me about like weird things that would happen where like when you came down the stairs of her basement, there was like this game room type of thing where they had like a lounge and like I think it was like a ping pong table or something over there. So it's like
Cute.
loungy thing.
Yeah.
And then there was a hallway with a couple of bedrooms, bathroom, and like a studio space. So when we worked
Oh
on
wow, that's like a big
projects,
house.
yeah, it was a big
Yeah.
house. So we would work on in the studio space, but like that's when she told me all this. When we were in the studio space for hours working on projects, is the appropriate time to tell ghost stories about the
Yeah.
basement. So she would tell me about how like at different times, like the radio would just like randomly turn on in the bedroom down there. Or like she
Mhm.
would be sitting in like the family room, game room area, and a ball would come rolling out of the bedroom and down the hallway. And I'm
Nope.
like, this girl's shitting me. Like, this is crazy. Right? I'm like, that's just crazy.
Like, how
Like,
are you still here?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so we were there one time and we were upstairs and we had just come out of her bedroom and like the bedrooms were at one end of the house and like the family room kitchen was at the other. And so we had just come out of the bedroom and like passed through like the little dining area into the kitchen, and a lid on a dish, like a ceramic dish that was sitting on top of a china cabinet. Like we're talking the china cabinet that's got like that little decorative trim piece at the top that holds things from like falling off.
And you can't come off that. Yeah.
Yeah. The lid on the container, this ceramic dish on top, comes off and like takes down a candle and then just kind of rolls around in the floor. And I'm like, how'd that happen? Because like we're talking about like,
Right.
like those ceramic dishes where like the lid fits in like that groove, like it doesn't
Yeah, that
just
doesn't just
fall
come
off.
off. That doesn't just come off.
And I'm just like, and she's like, eh. Like it just happens so much that it's just, eh.
And she's just so used to it at this point.
Yeah. Crazy.
Is that how you feel in your place?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I say that
Yeah.
until the next time I see something and I'm just like, oh shit, can you leave? I'm like, get out of my bathroom, you know?
I just need to go to the bathroom.
It's like, stop it.
Well, that's so crazy. See, that's the thing is that like I really have never had literally anything happen to me that I felt was spooky or weird. Um, even like I don't know, I used to stay up so late when I was a kid. Like I used to be such a night owl. Like I used to be someone who would like stay up super late, like and hide underneath my covers and like pretend that there was something spooky in my room, but there really wasn't. Or
You just
like
really wanted it. You just
I wanted
wanted
it
it.
so bad. Like I wanted it
Like,
so
where's
bad. It was
Casper?
like
Like,
yeah. Well, and it's like, well, so I grew up like watching a lot of spooky stuff and really liking things like Charmed and like
oh
witchy
yeah,
type things. So,
good stuff.
and I mean, I was raised Catholic, so it wasn't like I was ever raised to think that like demons and angels
Right.
and like ghosts and stuff were fake. Like
Baptist.
those were real.
You
Like those things
don't,
are real.
yeah,
Yeah. You see
Baptist.
The
You don't.
Exorcist and you're like, that's fucking real. Like, so um and then now I'm kind of like, I mean, there's a difference between Hollywood and like real life, but I think that there are definitely things we like can't explain and like we're not supposed to know, I think, in a weird way. Like I feel like if we were meant to know about it or like know how to like interact and like do stuff with spirits, like I feel like we would, you
Yeah.
know? Like there's this one TV show that like it becomes like ghosts are real and like a Ghostbusters thing like happens and these teenagers have to become like these ghost fighters because they're the ones that are the most like privy to them, and adults
Mhm.
can't really see them anymore because like that's part of it, right? Like
Yeah.
kids can see
No, yeah.
ghosts and have are like more in tune to it because they're like, more in touch with their whatever you want to call it, but like
Yeah,
they're
it's
not
like how
jaded
many
older people.
imaginary friends are actually ghosts? You
Right.
know?
Right. And I mean, so many parents, the only experience I've ever been personally attached to was my nephew is very sensitive to it and his parents are in denial about it, but it's fine. It's fine. I get it. You're kind of the same way where you're like, I just don't want to act like it's real because then if it's not real, then it's not real.
Yeah. If I
Where
can't see
like
it, it's not there.
they have a basement. Their house has a basement as well and he has had instances in his room of ghosts and he knows the word ghost, which makes no sense because he has no experience with that at that age. He has no experience, like his parents like really shelter him like really hardcore. They're not really religious like that. They would never talk about ghosts like that. They don't watch scary things. I mean, even like neighborhood kids, like he doesn't necessarily hang out with older kids. So it's like, it's not like he had a lot of like
Yeah.
instances where someone else would mention something to him about it. And then we were staying in the basement because there's a bedroom. There's like a big same kind of thing in their house. There's like there's one room in the back with a bathroom, and then there's like two other rooms that one's like a bar and one's like a living room
Yeah.
downstairs in their basement. And he had mentioned to us that he was nervous for us because he was like 6 maybe at the time, maybe even younger, maybe like 4.
Hmm.
Because I think he maybe just turned 6 now. So this was like at least 2 years ago, where he was like, I really don't like that you guys are sleeping down there. And he was like, I was like, why? What's wrong? He's like, well, the weird cow lives down there.
What?
The weird cow lives
A
down there.
weird cow.
He doesn't know what a devil looks like. He doesn't know what a horned creature looks like. He just knows there's something lives down there that looks like a cow
Oh
that
my
has horns.
gosh.
And I was like, what? And then I look at like his parents and I'm just like,
No, that's
is this the
freaky.
first time he's
That's,
ever said
yeah,
something
no,
like this? Like,
that's.
and I'm like, I go right into like, how many times have you seen it? Is it often? Is it only at
I need
night?
a
Like,
full
what time?
report.
When are you down here? Like, and he's not afraid to go down there, but like, he was like, I really don't like that you guys are sleeping down there. And he was like pretty articulate about it. Like, he's like a very intellectual child.
That's
I was
crazy.
like, that was the only, and I didn't have any experience down there or anything or at all, but the fact that he had said that gave me like goosebumps because I was
Yeah.
like, what? And he was just like, I'm so, yeah. Like, and he's just like, well, yeah, like the
Uh,
ghosts sometimes come up to my bedroom. And I'm like,
what?
no,
No.
no,
Yeah.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So yeah,
I mean,
that's like the
I'd be
only thing I've
okay if
ever
I
had
didn't
happen to
have
me
another experience. I'd be okay. I'd be okay.
where I'm like, let me just keep going to these spooky
Like,
places and
like
maybe
I've
something
met my
happens. Like,
quota. I'm good.
I
Like you will not catch
mean,
me
yeah,
at a haunted house. You will not catch me on a ghost tour
yep,
because I
I booked them
don't
all.
no, I'm good. I'm good. Like, am I
So I do
intrigued
tons
in
of
a ghost
scary
tour?
stuff. Like,
I would go to a ghost tour before I would go to a haunted house. Like I would rather see a spirit in a graveyard than go to a haunted house and see any freak in a mask coming at me. I don't
that's so
like
funny because
masks. I
haunted
don't
houses are
like
all
no.
fake.
I
Yeah,
don't
haunted
do it.
houses are all fake. They're just jump scares and,
No, they're
you know,
fake intellectually, but
yes.
emotionally, like they're
Or I'm
freaking
always like, oh,
terrifying. Like,
oh, your makeup is so good. I get
like
all excited.
no, like